Broadcasting from the Blanchardstown Centre, this is Phoenix FM.
This is 92.5 Phoenix FM, community radio for Dublin 15.
Hey everybody, it's JB Jeremy Borash, and you are listening to Darragh O'Connor on the...
Welcome to the Wrestling Rewind, the only wrestling podcast by fans who don't hate wrestling.
Hey everybody, it is Tuesday, not Monday. We swap days, so if you're catching us on Phoenix FM, it's kind of a week late, but that's how we're going to do it. This is the Wrestling Rewind, and we had to swap days because obviously life restarted, but thanks for joining us, and we appreciate you joining our review of Judgment Day 2000. That's kind of like our key issue this week, but again, some updates for everyone. If you're listening to this on YouTube, it's going to go out on a Tuesday. It's going to be up on a Tuesday. It's going to go hit our feeds on Thursday, the same with the True Penny channel. And if you're listening to True Penny channel, literally nothing has changed for you. But if you're listening on Phoenix FM, you're going to kind of get the show a week later. So my advice would be, check us out live on YouTube. Nerd to Know Media is where you can find us. We're also on Twitch, Nerd Ducks or Nerd to Know Media. So no excuse for catching us live, for missing us live, shall we say. But we will try to update you if there's any change. Go over to Facebook, and the Wrestling Rewind is where you can find us on Facebook. We need to change the Twitter at some point, Dave, but we haven't got around to that. But we will.
I know we do. Some people have been sending in suggestions. Some of them have been really great, but keep in mind, guys, they have to be under 15 characters.
Yeah.
That's why some of the great ones that we've got we haven't been able to use yet. But
and the ones that aren't taken as well, that's also half a problem.
Yeah. You should have seen Darragh and I going through all the options, all the different spellings that we could use. A massive fight broke out over whether or not an underscore is acceptable for usage on Twitter handles. Mr. Linux over here wants to use one every day and every chance he gets.
We might have to, because that might be the only way to do it. But, we will let you guys know. The best way to go over is check out on nerdtoknowmedia.com. All the links are there. They're all active and up to date. So that's probably the best way to keep in touch with us at the moment. Some change if you're listening to us on the network. Because stuff has reopened, there's less shows than normal, but not a lack of content. There's tons of content there. But we're not going anywhere. We're still a weekly show, so don't worry about it. Okay, Dave, and we changed stuff up this week. We actually have a show plan.
Oh my gosh, we have a show plan. Excuse the motorcycle going by. Maybe that's foreshadowing for some Judgment Day later that you're hearing outside my window.
I thought you set that up. I thought that was like planned.
No. But hey guys, it's a great day for wrestling. Welcome back to the only show hosted by fans that don't hate the product.
And a big reason of that is because we watched the product when it was fantastic. Which again,
you're starting to convert me. You are. You're starting to convert me, man.
I'm telling you, man. Like, it's so good. Like, this was like the peak of wrestling, and every time you watch it, just everything about the show, with the exception of some of oh my god, oh yikes moments. And there was one on this show. I was watching it just before we went live, and I'm like, I can't believe he said that. Oh, wow,
I wonder if it's the same line. Okay,
it probably is. It probably is.
Okay, yeah.
But we have some kind of news to get to before we get into the actual like meat and potato of this.
Oh, no.
I know this is the segment where I read out news to Dave and he reacts. So look, we have not one, but two pay-per-views this weekend.
Okay.
Right. So we have actually really funny. I want everybody who's listening to go over to Google and type in Impact Wrestling, and the four things that pop up. So here's what people have asked. All right. Is Impact still on TV? Is Impact Wrestling still on TV? What has happened to Impact Wrestling? What day is Impact Wrestling? and is Impact Wrestling on UK TV? And I just thought that's great. It's like, are these like, nobody knows what happened to this product, and the answer to all those is it's on Twitch randomly on a Thursday. It just comes on randomly. Yeah. So if you follow them on Twitch, stuff just happens, and I'm like, oh, there we go. So yeah,
I was super curious what the answer to those questions were going to be.
That's the answer.
I didn't know myself.
That's the answer. It's like, yeah, it's all on Twitch, and they have an app, and that's pretty much how they run their show now.
I mean, good for them. Bravo, TNA, Impact, whatever you are. Bravo.
I don't see the point. I'm like, lads, what is the point here? You're like, you know, okay, right. So on June the 2nd episode of Impact, it was announced that Slammiversary would take place the 18th. Where no venue was confirmed, it's expected that the event will take place at Skyway Studios in Nashville, Tennessee, where all Impact tapings have been recorded since Rebellion due to COVID, due to the pandemic, which we can't name. Yeah. So what I love about this is, Dave, right? Literally everything has gone wrong. So far, outside of the pandemic. They don't have a world champion because their world champion just left, and then they fired someone else as well. Right. So it's like,
as you do.
Yeah. So what's it? Originally, Tessa Blanchard was supposed to defend the Impact World Championship, but she's just gone. And they also released the termination of Dave Christ and Joey Ryan, for what's been going on there. On the June 30th edition of Impact, it was announced that Austin, Edwards, Trey, and the Mystery opponent would each face each other for the vacant championship at Slammiversary.
I mean, that's great.
Yeah, so we still don't know who the Mystery opponent is.
I still don't even know who this mystery company is that we're covering for some reason.
Well, if not their biggest show, it's their second biggest show of the year. But here's what's confusing, right? You're gonna love this, right? So they have an Impact World Championship, right? But they also have a TNA World Heavyweight Championship.
And none of them have any affiliation with NWA anymore. I mean, that went out of existence.
I'm just learning this. So on the same card, right? There's this vacant Impact World Championship. But then there's also an old school rules match, which I don't know what that is, for the TNA World Heavyweight Championship, where Moose is defending against. Guess who he's defending against?
Oh, Moose. I mean, he's got to be. No, I'm not going to say what. He's got to be defending against. I can't even. Matt Hardy. I have no idea.
Close. Tommy Dreamer.
Oh my gosh.
Tommy Dreamer.
What?
Your boy. Yeah.
But. He is. What's he doing over there?
He just shows up sometimes and has matches.
I'll never understand Tommy Dreamer, to save my life. I love him. I think he's phenomenal. I'd love to have him come on the show sometime because I enjoy House of Hardcore.
Yeah, I'd love to have Tommy Dreamer on the show. It'd be really fun.
I know he was offered an office job at WWE. Why are you still doing this to yourself, man? You have your company. It's very successful. I mean, I know right now. I don't know, but hey, you know what? What do the Buddhists say? To judge another is to drink a cup of poison and expect someone else to die. I'm paraphrasing briefly. So hey, all the best to you, buddy.
So I've been reading this. I've been researching here, right? Going through this Wikipedia, which is insanity. Whoever wrote this is like, more power to you, buddy. But at night 2 of Rebellion, Moose interrupted Michael Elgin while wearing the old TNA World Heavyweight Championship. And then he proclaimed himself to be TNA World Heavyweight Champion. So finally, they're doing what I've been doing for the past 10 years, calling it TNA.
I
was right.
Just keep going.
Just like I'll be right when Sting walks out and faces The Undertaker.
Oh my goodness gracious!
Ye of little faith. I'm just saying.
No, I have a lot of faith. I have faith in Taker's words. Unbelievable. You know what this reminds me of? What? And I know this is a wrestling show, guys. I will only talk about it for 2 minutes. But UFC held their first Fight Island show this weekend, which is what I watched this weekend. Man, this reminds me of The Rock giving the BMF belt to one guy, and then he challenged for a title at the show. And it's like, one title is legitimate, one title is really just honorary. What's really happening here? I don't know.
Okay, hold on. It gets better, right?
Okay, I'm listening.
So, pulling it for... Okay. He defended it against Hernandez, Suicide Twice, and Crazy Steve. After their match with Steve, Tommy Dreamer came down to check on the injured challenger, but Moose kicked Dreamer in the side of the head and pummeled him with strikes. Once Dreamer recovered from the assault, he cut a promo on Moose saying that he was the natural God-given talent of a professional athlete but lacks the passion and drive for his profession. He went on to cry for a while. No, he didn't. He went on to say that he created a title for himself because he couldn't win any, despite Moose winning the now defunct Impact Grand Championship 2 times. This man... What is going on?
Oh my god! I'm so glad I don't have to recap stuff anymore, man. Do you know what it's like to try and keep track of that in your head?
So Moose took exception to what Dreamer said, saying that his remarks are slanderous and defamation of his character, threatening to sue him and the company unless he's given an apology. The next week, Dreamer formally gave Moose a written apology along with some backhanded remarks about his behaviour. Moose would interrupt him and then say that the TNA Championship Committee, which is a thing apparently, has now proclaimed him the number 1 contender to the TNA World Heavyweight Championship, and they'll face each other at Slammiversary in an old school rules match. I'm in. Oh my god!
You're in.
Heath Slater is also here apparently in the reunion of Team Canada.
Okay. My mind's being blown by so many things.
I'm into this.
Oh my gosh!
Fully. This is going to be the best. Aces and Eights apparently are back. Oh my god!
Of course they are. Why wouldn't they be?
Carl Anderson and Gallows are here for some reason with Eric. Oh my god, lads! Oh my god! So apparently these are coming in. So this is the big tease now for the show. D'Lo Brown is back.
Oh, good for D'Lo. He was great in the 90s.
Oh lord. He
actually was.
No, he was. You know what? I wasn't into this at all, like beforehand, but now This is brilliant.
It's such a cluster that how can you not at least tune in? Then again, I don't even know how to tune in. Do I pay for Twitch Prime? Do I get to see it? Is it on pay-per-view? How do we even view this, Darragh?
How do we view this? Let's see. It doesn't say.
There's no information for
no information how to buy it. Oh, TNA. Oh, please don't ever change. I don't know how they're around. This is the 16th event. I don't know. Someone help. Like, what are they doing?
I'm lost.
Why? Like, I just have so many questions about this. I'm like, why are you still running the show? No one's going to be there. And, like, legitimately, no one can be there anyway because of the virus. But it's like, for the first time, it's probably not going to make a difference.
Who is paying for all of this to occur?
I don't know. Like, I'm like, who's been scammed out of the money for this to run? I'm not saying that TNA is a scam.
Allegedly.
But it's like, who's this for?
Apparently it's for whatever wrestler wants to show up and get a paycheck. This is phenomenal. So it's taking the best elements. No, I won't even say best elements. That's giving them way too much credit. This is some weird, like, twisting of, oh my gosh, UFC combined with, forget it, House of Hardcore combined with ECW combined with stuff that happened back in the Attitude Era. They're like taking it all and trying to make it one thing, and what is happening? I can't follow.
So apparently the official stream is going to be on Fight TV, and it's $19.99.
It's actually very reasonable.
Is it?
Well,
but the network is only $12.99 or something.
It's Darragh, how could you possibly have missed promo after promo after promo? No.
Can I just say, in America, yeah, it's $9.99. In the UK and Ireland, it's relatively more expensive.
So why don't you get on our corrupt Federal Reserve System and your prices can go down?
Oh, we have our own corrupt system. Don't worry about it. But so that's what it is. So I'm like, I don't know. We're gonna watch it anyway because we have to, because it's just so fun and it's so wild that I really do not want to miss this.
This is how out of touch I am. This is how out of touch I am with this product. I actually went and I tried to find it yesterday morning to watch for today's show because I was convinced it had already happened. If you're listening on Phoenix FM, you'll be even more confused because next week you'll be hearing me talking about looking for it after it's already been found. I don't know. This is Oak Island all over again.
I thought this already happened like 2 months ago. So now I'm like, but I found this good article here on sportskita.com, right? Slammiversary is Impact Wrestling's most important pay-per-view of 2020. They've only had 2 pay-per-views, so that's a bit hyperbolic there. Sidney Puller III. Oh, he actually, oh no. That's not good. Anyway, so here's why it's important. The release of Impact Wrestling, Tessa Blanchard ahead of Slammiversary. Okay. Speaking out movement causes changes in Impact. I'm like, that's not a good. They're bad things. No. You shouldn't be bringing attention to that. And the tease of WWE release talent at Slammiversary. Okay. So this is how out of touch this lad is, right? Mr. the Third. I'm going to call him that. Mr. Because that's how he wants to be referred. So Mr. the Third.
Okay. Now I understand. Yep.
Like literally, that's how he deems himself. SP3. Oh, cringing to time here.
How do you have a name in one company, get to keep that name when you go to another company, go back to the company that you had that name in, but lose the rights to your name?
No, this is the contributor. This is the lad who wrote it.
Okay.
Sidney Puller III. That's how he has written this for some reason. I'm like,
right, of course he did.
And I'm cringing to time because I know it must be a big deal. Come on the show and we'll make fun of you.
Come on over. We're having guests starting next week, so come on over.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, all right. So the first point he made here is, for some reason, losing your world champion is a good thing. Like legit, losing your world champion is a good thing. Like, no, it's not. That's really bad. That shows. That makes it look so bush league. It's unbelievable.
No, it's great. I think it's the best thing that could ever happen to a company.
Oh, of course, losing your biggest star. Yeah, it makes all sense.
Lose your biggest star. It works out great every single time.
The next point, speaking out. Yeah, let's draw attention to one of the biggest scandals. Okay, and say it's a good thing. It's like, I understand what you're saying is that I was going to make changes. It's like, listen, those changes are needed, but you probably shouldn't lean into this because it's going to turn bad. So, yeah, bad move. Although it is the most legitimate claim of the whole lot, where it's like, yeah, alright, fair enough. The next one, though, is mind-bogglingly stupid. The tease of WWE talent. It's like, oh yeah, because that's what TNA needs. Ex-WWE talent. That's what every wrestling company needs. ex-WWE talent. Getting the big stars.
Yeah, you know what they need to do? They need to sit at home, and they need to wait for the blah, blah, blah to pass over, and they need to come back to WWE when they can afford their contracts again.
Yep.
Not cut ties or burn bridges.
Or show for a couple of weeks, and then TNA end up spending money on them when they go back to WWE anyway.
But who's going to spend the money? That's what I'm trying to figure out.
Obviously, someone's paying for this, and I don't know who's paying for it.
Who can afford Gallows and Anderson? That's not a cheap ticket.
I don't understand it. I'm like, EC3, go to AEW. Like,
right.
Go to AEW. What are you doing? Like, fair enough. That's like, where your
Good Brothers, you literally are the Bullet Club.
Yes, go back to Japan. You'll make way more money, or even go to AEW, and they'd love to have you. I just think this is, again, like, no disrespect to TNA, but it's like, this is the kiss of death. Like, this was always the kiss of death. But now you're going back and you're like, yeah, let's just hitch our wagon to this. It's like, that wagon, nobody knows who owns that wagon, where that wagon is going, or when that wagon's going to slow down, because it's just...
Right?
It just shows up sometime and does stuff. And it's like...
It's like, okay, you're sitting there, you're holding the dolly, but you have no idea where the hitch is to attach it.
Exactly. And that's kind of what's going on here. So look, Slammiversary is on this Saturday. Now we have to give points. It's on Saturday. And as someone who lives in this part of the world, when a wrestling pay-per-view is on a Saturday, I love it. It's great. It's much better than on a Sunday, because obviously you can watch it. It's on at 1 a.m, which is what it is, but you can watch it comfortably and not be in bits, because work isn't the next day most of the time. So yeah, I think it's great, but it's literally the day before Extreme Rules. So it's like, ooh, not only is it a show that's kind of thrown together, but it's also going against a WWE show. This isn't going to go well for you, my friend.
Oh, good. We need to get into this preview, speaking of Extreme Rules, because I'm kind of more excited for this than I should be.
What I will say is, right, Slammiversary was always the show. I've loved the Slammiversary rewinds that are on TNA, and this is on their TNA Twitter. So, look, open invite to anyone from TNA that want to come on, or any TNA fans that want to come on and talk about it. I love their historical stuff. And but here's the thing, no King of the Mountain match. Which is dumb. Yeah, it's like, do a King of the Mountain match. It's Like
that's like removing money from Money in the Bank from WrestleMania, making it its own pay-per-view. Are we going to get a King of the Mountain pay-per-view now?
No, look, they've only done 2 pay-per-views this year. Rebellion, which is also kind of weird that they used that, and
I was thinking that when you said it. I just wanted to clarify: it is not the show that we reviewed.
No,
do not go back into our archives and hear us raving about a great show and think it's the one that put out.
No. Rebellion.
Whoever put it out.
Rebellion 1999 is not the same as Rebellion 2020. So they're not the same show, not the same company.
No. That we know of. Who knows? That I feel like we're actually able to disparage is the wrong word, but I feel completely comfortable criticizing this company because I have no idea who I'm criticizing.
Look, I don't know what's going on here. I'm gonna watch the show, and I'm gonna be openly we're gonna review it openly. But I just think it's hilarious that none of this makes sense. They have 2 world championships for some reason. They're calling themselves TNA and Impact at the same time for some reason. The match that the show is known for is not there, and in the main event, we don't know who's there, and my door's opening for some reason.
Your dog loves to come in.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on.
I think it's haunted.
Yeah, no, I think it is my dog that's coming in again. Anyway,
it just hears you talking about TNA, and it's like the Grim Reaper is just trying to creep up on you. Yeah,
my cat is over. Oh no, my cat got off the bed. It's definitely not her. She's not big enough to be able to open the door. Yeah, so I tell you what, let's move over.
It's not creeping me out at all. Maybe you start using a virtual background, mate.
I wish I could. I can't because of all this crap. But the good news is we're building a studio at the moment, so I actually will have a proper virtual background. But there's just too much crap. All this is gone, which is great. I'm gonna get rid of all that. Finally.
Yeah, one day once the blah 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 is over.
Yeah, we'll just be able to clear it all out. But it's just like, it's just all there. The worst part
I was gonna say, we need to actually do one of these, together. Just things some ancestral stuff I want to visit anyway, so we could.
Well, I don't know, man. Like, either my plan is to go back over to the States once this clears, so hopefully I'll be able to do it. It was cool. Like, that was one great thing about Adam. When Adam was over here with his family, we actually got to do an in real life show, and we didn't record it. We didn't do video at that time, so at least now we did. I'm gonna just turn off my camera while I fix that door. So just give me 1 second because it's very, very annoying.
Great. I'm super glad you gave me info on what I should ramble about while you're gone. If you guys are listening, make sure you follow us on our Facebook pages. You can find us under Internet Media. Obviously, you can search for the Wrestling Rewind. Right now, our Twitter handle is WBI. Wow, I should know that, right? WBI. Thank you for chiming in, Mr. In the Dark over there. I want to do a cheap little plug here on our YouTube channel. We were on the Game Corner this past week. Check that out.
Really fun show. Really fun show.
Use the Brave browser. Are you back? Can I stop shilling?
Oh yeah, no, I'm back. I'm back. Don't worry about it. Cool. You don't have to. You can stop shilling. Like, it's some really good shows that came up as well. But look, next week we will get into this TNA show because oh my god, it's so funny. And I'm gonna keep calling it TNA, and I have excuse now. They're calling it TNA, so okay, right. Let's switch gears here and talk about. Okay. Here's another stupid thing, right? And this is why we like to go back because it's not offensive to your brain.
Wow.
So okay, this show was called The Horror Show at Extreme Rules.
I love it.
What are they doing? Like, it's just so dumb.
You know what though? We said this about the greatest match ever, and it turned out to be pretty darn good.
Yeah, I don't know why they went with the big tagline. It's like, what are you doing? It's so stupid. But what's cool about it is it's at 7 Eastern, which is cool. I like the way now the shows start at 7 rather than at 8.
I do as well, and it's just a much more natural fit because it's 12 o'clock for us, so I can actually watch the whole show. Even into the full, in its entirety without being wrecked. Although Money in the Bank was hilarious when it was only like 2 hours and you're like, oh, it's over. You realize the entire show is just a promo for the Undertaker documentary?
Yeah,
it's the most brilliant thing they've ever done.
It's crazy. But okay, so this was originally supposed to take place in San Jose, California, but obviously it's not. It's in the Performance Center in Orlando, and oh boy.
Oh boy, indeed.
Yeah, so...
Hey, when's Fyter Fest?
That already happened.
Oh, did it?
That's how it happened last week.
What?
Yeah, that's how the FTW belt came back. The second.
If you guys ever wondered why we cover past wrestling shows,
and this is why, because the current product is such a you-know-what show. But,
we can't keep track of what's going on. I mean,
it's just a mess. It's just a mess. And look, to be fair, when you look at stuff like this, outside of stuff that we find kind of funny, we don't really enjoy covering. But both of these shows, and we're just like, this is ridiculous. And look, the Asuka Sasha Banks match would be great. The Bayley Nikki Cross match would be great. Drew McIntyre versus Dolph Ziggler should be fine. By the way, I still think Drew McIntyre with Dolph Ziggler doesn't really make too much sense, but it is what it is.
I know exactly why it is, though.
Oh yeah, it's
they got to protect Lashley until there's a live crowd. It's not time for him to get the belt yet.
No, it's not.
Drew needs the live reaction. Then they give it to Lashley.
Well,
they got to feed somebody to him.
You know what they should have done? They should have actually...
Yeah, I know a lot of things they should have done.
They should have used Heath Slater. Heath Slater was on the show a couple of weeks ago and could have really good promo. They should have hired him back even for a short-term contract to do a program with Drew McIntyre.
Wait, they had him on, even though they fired him, they brought him back for a promo?
Yeah, they brought him back on Raw.
I skipped that segment, apparently.
Yeah, it happened like 2 weeks ago. But yeah, it was really good. And you should have just kept them in, and it would have made more sense. I would have been more excited to see that. But okay, I'm
not gonna lie. This is literally how I watch wrestling nowadays. Is AJ Styles on? No. Okay, I'm gonna skip forward. Daniel Bryan? Okay, I'm gonna skip till he's on. Oh, they're in the same match. Fantastic. That's what I have to watch. Where's Ricochet? Somewhere? I'll watch him get squashed. By the way, there actually is a good not documentary. There's a great collection on the WWE Network you should check out. It's basically all NXT, but it's the best of Ricochet. And please, no one tell him about the untold saga of the game or whatever it's called that WWE Network just released.
Wait, what's this? This is about Triple H?
Oh my gosh. Why did I even say it out loud? Yes, the WWE Network released a documentary on Triple H. I think it's called The Untold Story of the Game. It's trending right now on the network, so apparently people are watching it.
I'm going to be watching that later. Fantastic.
Yeah, I bet you are.
Oh,
I bet you are.
Definitely. But here's why I want to talk about it, and why we'll probably mention it next week. So there's 2 matches on this, right? Braun Strowman versus Bray Wyatt in a Wyatt swamp fight, which is probably going to be a cinematic match. So that's
sounds eerily like the
House of Horror
Final
match.
Deletion.
Yeah, and Final Deletion. So we'll see. Actually, you know what this is going to be like? This is, again, something that was hinted in the prophetic 2K 2020 game, where you actually do this.
It's Nostradamus of WWE.
It's unbelievable. They've just predicted what's happened. And that game, whoever made that game, obviously had some sort of crystal ball where they can just see into the future because they predicted this. This is another one of their predictions, so fair play. Also funny to notice that a main event star in a wrestling promotion is called Trey, which is also kind of weird. But here, so we'll get to that. I imagine that'll be fun. But here's one that it just, the mind boggles, right? Rey Mysterio versus Seth Rollins in an eye versus eye match, right? The match.
What now?
The match can only be won when one competitor extracts the eye of their opponent.
I'm in.
I don't know how that's gonna work.
I can think of a couple. Well, okay, I'm not gonna give away any magic secrets, but I can think of a couple ways it could be done. But I'm in. No, you sold me. You sold me on the show right there.
Yeah, I know. Like, I'm interested to see it, but I'm like, hair versus hair versus mask. No.
Okay, bear with me.
Right.
Eye versus eye. The match is really about the fact that Seth Rollins is the Monday Night Messiah, and the eye is that he needs to lose his ego and come back down and be ingratiated into the rest of the WWE universe. So the eye is not a physical eye, it is instead a metaphorical phrase for his consciousness.
That's not how they've sold it. They've sold it as taking the eye.
I tried really hard.
So basically, right, so this has all got to do with Dominic being attacked. Rollins attempted to pierce Dominic's eye but was unsuccessful.
What?
And then Mysterio then challenged Rollins to a match.
Okay, this is the problem. I'm spending so much time watching late 90s WWF nowadays that I'm having trouble keeping up with the weeklies. So I don't even know if what you're telling me is true or not. Like, is this fake news?
Yeah, no,
like,
it's
I don't
true.
know.
This is true. This is actually what they're building up. It's on Wikipedia. I know Wikipedia is not as true, but this is how the canon is being written.
Well, this is how you know Wikipedia is always true. I'm cited as a source multiple times.
Fair. But it's
true story.
No,
Google me on Wikipedia.
Definitely. But yeah, so that's what's happening. And yeah, so we're going to briefly touch on at least those two matches next week.
I'm really excited for actually Asuka versus Sasha.
Oh, it's going to be unbelievable, yeah. Like, that's what I'm...
Yeah.
Like, as far as a match, that's the match I want to see. So, I also
Which I can't believe.
I like Nikki Cross a lot, too. Bailey's gone against her. So, I think that's going to be really fun, too. So, great. Right, let's kind of reset here and go back to the rewind segment of the show, which is Judgment Day 2000. So this is my favourite part of the show that we do, where we get to watch it. And I'm really glad we picked this one, because initially I was just like, oh yeah, it has the return of the Undertaker, but then I forgot how good the show was when I went back and watched it. Oh
my goodness.
So
I hinted at it. But man, do we take the hard break now, or do we take it? I don't even know how this works.
Oh, we don't have to. Well, we don't have to take a hard break.
Well, we just did. We'll just pretend we just did. Okay.
We don't have to take
so
a hard
welcome
break.
back. Wow. The first thing I would say, even before we jump into this review, is I am falling in love with an era that I watched as a child and didn't really absorb.
Yeah.
Like, in my head, I had this idea that the best of the WWE was like 2003 to 2016.
No, not even
I
close.
could not be more wrong.
Yeah, not even close. Like, it's, and that's the thing, it's kind of hard to, because it's weird. Like, I obviously watching wrestling my whole life, but really having an awareness. Like, I remember staying up and watching this with my cousin, like live, and then I got a VHS of it from my grandmother. And it's just like I remember super clear, but around 2000 is when 1999 is when I kind of like smartened up to it, where like you're watching it. 1998 till about 2000 is when you really start kind of waking up to it, and you really start to enjoy it and appreciate it. And I'm really glad it was around that time, because like for me, I said it multiple times, 2000 is the best year for WWE, like ever. Without a doubt.
It's very possible.
Like, without a doubt, 2000 is just phenomenal. 2001 I really liked too, but for different reasons. 1999 as well. The end of 1999 to like WrestleMania 17 is the best period for wrestling, and that's also got to deal with like everybody loves that period as well. And there's a reason for it, because it's so good. But I think a lot of it gets washed with rose tinted glasses.
Sure,
so,
people go overboard.
Yeah,
and make it seem like it was some. It's not that the product currently isn't good; it's that it's just so different. And different's not always bad. It's just
different's not bad. It's just the way the show was, top to bottom, is so completely different that it's like you're watching a different show. Because you are, like, effectively that's what you are. Like, there's this weird perception that wrestling is wrestling, and it's like, yeah, it is, but it also isn't.
Here's a thought. When you watch stuff from this era, because basically, I also watched my whole life, but I watched early 90s when it was very cartoony, and then the Attitude Era crept up.
Well, so did I, but the difference was you still thought it was real.
Oh, absolutely. And
that's
I still
the difference.
Kayfabe lives.
Yeah, well, no, but like you're a kid, you watch it the same way you'd watch the Power Rangers or wherever. You're like, oh, this is just a show, or it's real. That you're
that's
not
great.
smart.
You said that, because I actually kept my Power Rangers action figures in with like my Hulk Hogan action figures when I was little.
It's the same kind of thing, and that's the difference. When this was coming around, you were more aware. You were like, well, I was 11 or 12, so I was kind of more mature than that. So now again, should not have been watching this when I was 11 or 12.
No, well, and that's what I was trying to explain. Like, I watched it, it was very cartoony. Then, when you're 10 years old, sometimes your parents have more say over what you watch. Well, back then, at least, your parents have more say over what you watch.
Well, not in Ireland.
So I wasn't allowed to watch.
Not in Ireland and the UK, which is unbelievable. Like, everybody's watching wrestling. I watched this. This was just what everybody watched as well, And then you go back and you're like, oh my lord. this is unbelievable. So that's kind of one thing that, you know, we'd always kind of joke about, but it's also true. And having the ability to go back and watch these shows now, you're like, oh, this really makes sense. You know, it kind of puts the good in with the bad, but also the context of the era. Like, when you're, and we're going to be fair and not just go, hey, it's lame because there's no crowd, because that's a cheap shot. Even if there was a crowd, it's so sanitized now that, and look, even still the matches are better. Like, all the matches aren't great. There is actually 2 fantastic matches on this show, but the actual current product has classic in-ring matches every week.
Actually,
so
I think there are 3 or 4 really great matches on this show. But I was going to ask you, do you feel like, because we've talked before about how now it seems like it's more about the fans putting themselves over, like, this is awesome, has to break out before a match even begins. It feels like wrestling 1999, 2000, 2001 was just more grassroots, more organic, to use political terms.
Yeah, well, it felt more kind of like it wasn't.
It felt more like you were going to attend an event, not be the event.
Yeah, but the event was aware that you were there.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the difference. Like, the crowd, like, for example, even with the signs, you watch.
Oh, they're so good.
But they exist. That's what I mean. There's no signs when you go to WWE shows, and, well, again, you know what I mean. We're not talking about now. We're talking about in modern WWE. Like, it's not a thing. You know,
they were so creative.
Yeah, but again, what happened over the past couple of years? WWE issued a mandate to take signs off people, and it's like you're kind of killing a massive element of the show, which was a big part of it. Monster 93 chimed in there. The signs are a staple of it, all right. Yeah, they were. You know, they were one of those they were one of those things that you could go back to. Now, again, some of the signs, oh my god, like, unbelievable. Like, and
the game one? Are you thinking about the game one?
I'm not thinking about anyone specifically on this show, but if
I am.
What one are you thinking of? Go on.
I'm not going to say it, but I will type it to you. And if you saw this one, you can acknowledge it.
Was it the game is an F word? Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah, it is similar on that, yeah. Yeah, to be fair, stuff like that slurs were thrown around a lot, so I kind of understand why they don't do signs anymore, but, you know, they're still on the network, which is unbelievable too.
And they stopped blurring the WWF logo.
Which is brilliant.
I love.
I'm so glad they actually just paid the World Wildlife Fund money. Because it just will take away so much from the show. But look, again, like, a lot of this stuff is the context of its time. Slurs were a thing as such. So when you see them in signs, you're like, oh wow, but then you're like, oh yeah, it was 20 years ago. You know, so you're like, I suppose it was just part of the culture, I suppose. Yeah, so fun times, I suppose. I never understood the point of blurring. It was always so confusing to see. The reason why Monster Mutt was because they didn't want to pay them money. The World Wildlife Fund owns the term WWF, owns the trademark WWF. So every time they use WWF, even in the past, they would have to pay them. And eventually WWE were just like, look, we'll just pay the money for it. And that's what they've been doing ever since. It's the same reason why when you check out some of wrestlers or events that had licensed music, it's sometimes not always there, which happens in this show with The Undertaker. The Undertaker's come back with Kid Rock. It's not. I was
like, what? I was so excited for that moment when he rides out. I was like, where's the Kid Rock?
If you listen, if you listen very, very, very intently, you can hear the Saboteur riff in the background.
Okay.
But it is kind of ruined because it's like, it takes away so much of it, you know. But also, here's one thing and I do want to get V and Vuso on the show because I bring him up every week. Love V and Vuso. Do check out his show. He did a retrospective of The Streak recently, and it's like 4 hours long.
Of course it is.
Yeah, and it turns out on the network, WrestleMania 17, The Undertaker comes out to his old Ministry music on the network, and it works apparently. So that's crazy.
Well, wait, this doesn't make any sense to me. Kid Rock's in the WWE Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I don't know why his music isn't there. But remember, Undertaker went through like 3 different teams for this one. He had American Badass, which, to be fair, is the one I actually liked most. I think it suited the character most.
I don't know. We got to keep rolling, man.
Rolling was good, but never really fit. and Big Evil, Dead Man Walking, actually, which is pretty good too.
That's pretty good.
But yeah, look, so that's why they did it once them up, because WWE is cheap. They don't want to pay money, but eventually they listen to everybody. Because the worst part about it is I have loads of DVDs from this from like 2009, 2010 when they released them on Silvervision, and they're all blurred out, so they're unwatchable. It's terrible. It's really annoying. But
it is cool that they can at least go back and unblur. Like, I know it's not that hard to remove a filter, but sometimes a company will delete the stuff that they had originally, and WWE is at least good at keeping their tape library. And Monster, I want to also expand upon what Darragh said. It actually is really a super complicated thing with the WWF, because it wasn't in America that it was an issue. And it wasn't even, it was specifically the UK, and not using the term WWF, but selling merchandise that contained WWF in the name. Yeah. And that one small little insignificant country that nobody cares about. I'm kidding. No, but because of the UK, we lost the name.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's better now, I guess.
But the main reason why it won was because the World Wildlife Fund is literally funded by the royal family.
Yeah.
In England. So it's like, you're not going to win that battle. It's just...
Yeah, no, nothing shady about that money either, so that's good.
Well, there you go. That's a different show. Yeah, it's just, that's why. So yeah, basically because of the UK. And here's the thing, they did have this understanding, like this kind of tenuous understanding, but WWE kind of went a bit too far with it, and that's why they're like, look, we're not going to do this anymore. But it's been 20 years, 18 years. I've adapted to it, but I still do. I'm glad that retroactively we can go back and enjoy WWF for what it was, because seeing a little bit of blurring wasn't bad, but it was everywhere, and they'd also edit out just anytime they mentioned WWF on the audio. Yes. It was incredibly annoying. It just made those shows unwatchable. Like, these ruined the shows.
Yeah, it's a lot of like double speak we had to do when covering it. I'm glad that's gone.
It's not good. But yeah,
a Brave New World or 1984 may exist, but at least not in the WWE.
Thankfully. WWE aren't afraid of their history, even though they kind of should be sometimes. Except for one man who, when I was going through this show, watching it on the network, is Chris Jericho has a submission match. And I'm like, oh, that must mean it's where he should not be named. And sure enough, it was. So anytime you see it on the network, it's just like, it's so weird how they cover it. Like, it's just Chris Jericho has a submission match, and then you see it's Chris Benoit. And I think we'll start there. This was a submission match for the Intercontinental Championship. In hindsight, oh man, the match ends with him choking him out. It's really awkward. But again, it's like artist from the Death of the Author, right?
Right. But I like that. Okay, we're just gonna drop all. We know what happened. Everybody knows. I actually like seeing the crippler applied instead of across the face into an actual choke. That was actually a really cool concept.
It looks so much more... And fair play to Jericho. Jericho sells it like an absolute champion.
Oh, yeah.
It looks so brutal. Like, just the brutality of that hold is at its apex here. And they both come off great. Chris Jericho is cool in this because he doesn't lose. He's choked out.
Right.
So he doesn't tap. I love the whole story of it. It wasn't a super long match, 14 minutes, but this was...
second longest match on the card, though.
Yeah, well, it built up to their SummerSlam match, which would be later on in the year, which was even better again, the 2L3 Falls match. But yeah, like, this was the start of the feud. Really good. It turns out to be, like, probably my favourite series in WWE between any two guys. Eventually ends up with the ladder match in Royal Rumble 2001, which is my favourite ladder match of all time. And Jericho's just the best. I love Chris Jericho.
My gosh.
Just the best.
And I mean, and this is not a knock on him now, because
Jericho's still the best. He's still the best.
He is. I mean, Father Time takes no prisoners, but holy cow, the way he could pop off that springboard drop kick to the apron. Oh, that was glorious in 2000.
So good. It's so good. He's like, and this is before he gets the run as the main eventer. But, as you talked about, when the Radicals came in, they changed kind of the face of WWE, and the work got so much better and so much more technical. Because again, we talked about Rebellion 1999. The undercard wasn't this good. The undercard got a massive shot in the arm in 2000, and this is kind of what we've seen. Second longest match in the card, probably the second best match of the card. And if you haven't seen it, go out your way to see it. It's so good. Another kind of Radicals match, triple threat match with for the WWE European Championship, which is my favourite WWE Championship next to the Hardcore belt. I love the European belt. Actually,
I wonder why.
Well, look, if I was ever going to buy if I was one of those people that would buy a replica belt, I'd only ever buy a European title because I just love it. I think it's great.
Wait a minute. Just 2 weeks ago, or 3 weeks ago, you told me, no, the only replica belt that I would ever buy is the WWF Hardcore title
Same
belt.
rule. I'd buy either one or the other.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay.
One or the other. But I like that. You don't buy the Hardcore belt. You find the Hardcore belt. You can't buy it.
Gerald Briscoe's out there somewhere.
Exactly. You just pin them and get it. Like, that's what you do, you know? By the way, one thing I do is say, I love Gerald Briscoe's little skits during this where they're all chasing them.
Yeah.
It's so fun.
One of the things I liked is that the skits that they had, it wasn't just different skits throughout the night. They all had one theme.
Yeah.
Like, and it was a story that was being told in the background of what was going on, not just hype.
And it would tie in directly to a match in the card, because Gerald Briscoe comes out and gets involved in the tables match for some reason. And he gets put through a belt while wearing the Hardcore belt, which is hilarious.
I do got to say, though, before we pass, because we were talking about Eddie Guerrero versus Malenko and Perry Saturn. Holy cow!
Oh man,
Eddie Guerrero was so fast back then too.
But I love that this is before Eddie got injured.
Yes.
And also before he got fired for drugs.
Right.
So you do kind of like, it's great to see these guys mix it up, because like obviously Benoit went off and kind of was the star of the group. From the get-go, but it's rare you got to see Eddie in there with Malenko and Saturn and just having an absolute barn burner. Now, it was an 8-minute match, but they made those 8 minutes really last. And here's the thing, it ties up with it's actually longer than the Falls Count Anywhere match, which I completely forgot about. I thought that was much longer, but super good match. A really nice way to kind of heat up the crowd before a spot fest. So
yeah,
I
even thought the first match of the night did a really great job. I mean, that was the quintessential 6-man tag match to get a crowd hype. Was Too Cool versus Team ECK, which is Ed Christian and Kurt Angle.
Oh man,
and I forgot that Kurt Angle used to have that CM Punk vibe about him.
Really?
Yeah, that whole like, I'm better than you, like I'm for abstinence and I'm gonna teach your teenage daughters how to be raised correctly and all this. I was like, oh my gosh,
that was his gimmick, you know. He was all straight-laced and boot and stuff like that. But what's great about it is Edge and Christian were so easy to hate at this point. Hitching Kurt Angle up to it was just so good. You know,
a little cultural appropriation never hurt somebody.
Well, here's when someone joined in.
If you're a heel,
yes, but unlike CM Punk, he did try to invade my cinema screen. Now, here's the thing: Kurt Angle.
He did.
Kurt Angle is in some movies, but he's in The Warrior, and he's phenomenal in The Warrior.
True.
True. Punk is. I haven't actually seen CM Punk's movie. I kind of don't. I kind of want to, but don't, because I hear it's nothing but terrible. But at least when Kurt Angle did it, The Warrior is a phenomenal movie, and you'll really like it. He plays a Russian MMA fighter. So,
yeah. So I got to check out.
Have you not seen The Warrior?
I haven't seen The
Warrior, dude.
Warrior. I just watched Bloodsport the other day. I haven't seen The Warrior yet. I'm trying to go through my MMA.
Okay, so quickly. So The Warrior is about your man from Star Wars, Edgar, whatever. He played Lars in Star Wars.
Yeah.
And Tom Hardy, and they're brothers. And they're both
Tom Hardy.
And they're both fighting to win like this MMA contest. And it's like Rocky but MMA with brothers.
Okay.
And it's really good. And Kurt Angle absolutely just kills it. But yeah, it's the CM Punk movie. Oh, yikes.
I haven't seen it, so I can't even comment on it.
I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll do a special where we'll do a movie review of CM Punk's movie.
Oh, that's what we should. Yeah, okay.
We'll totally do that. We'll tack that. Maybe not next week, but probably the week after. We'll do that, because I hear it's bad.
Great. That's what people want.
Well, look, I didn't bring it up. Okay, so going on to the Falls Count Anywhere match. Really good with Shane McMahon. Shane McMahon, the quintessential heel here. His best run is 2001. Super fun. Big Show, absolute monster.
When did he get his music? Because I noticed he came out to his dad's theme.
He got his music after WrestleMania 17.
Okay.
Because 17, he still... Actually, if you watch WrestleMania 17, it's a lot of No Chance in Hell.
Yeah. Well, and one thing I got to say, though, is people often say, like, oh, the McMahons, they put themselves into the product too much now. And maybe that's true. But when you go back 20 years and you see them when they were much, much younger and much, much more able to do things, it actually works.
Yeah, it works really well. Really well. Like, the only problem is...
That's creepy that we just did that together. But yes, it works really well.
It works really well. And that's the thing. That's what people kind of liked about it. It's just they didn't step away. It's the wrestling thing. They didn't know when to leave it alone. So they just kept staying in the product. And it got worse and worse and worse. Once someone chimed in, the people do want it. It's fun to talk about terrible things. Yes, it is. Case in point, TNA. It's only fun to talk about terrible things if you're not financially invested in them. Then it's
very true.
Then it's upsetting.
We might have to move our original plan for next week to 28th and just do what we were talking about earlier in this show for next week.
Fair. Okay. That's fair.
I'll take care of that.
Cool. So look, I thought this was really good. A fun little match. TNA, the group, show up for some reason and interfere. Bull Buchanan, which I forgot existed, shows up. Big Boss Man shows up for some reason. It's an absolute cluster.
I forgot Bill Buchanan existed. I was sitting there going, who is this guy? Who is this guy? Who is this guy?
This guy looks familiar. Why is he here? Look, a fun little match. Not the best Shane McMahon match, not by a long shot. Not the best of this kind of match, but still a fun little story that just kind of served two purposes. One, to get a lot of sympathy on the Big Show, and also to make you hate Shane McMahon, which kind of backfired because everybody ended up loving.
Absolutely. Now you're a musician, and I'm someone who used to be a sound engineer.
Right.
So does it ever make you chuckle when you see quote unquote 1,000-pound amps fall over and they erupt in pyro?
That was funny. Well, I was more kind of sitting there like, where's the big loud pop?
Right?
The big loud pop that you hear that would deafen every single person.
The cord disconnects.
Yeah. I was just like, if you're going to do it, at least do that. So, but they didn't.
The only thing that disappointed me is I saw Shane start to, climb, and I was like, okay, here we go, and then he didn't jump.
Yeah, this is before he does the big jump.
Yeah.
Again, SummerSlam is when he does the big jump.
Okay. Well, speaking of big things, I have to take a knock at Test here because that's my water bottle that keeps popping. I apologize, guys. I take a little bit of a knock at Test here because Big Show goes out of his way when he tears the girder off the steel frame to show how heavy it is and that it's so difficult for him to lift up. And then TNA runs out and Test picks it up like it's nothing and starts chucking it around in the air. And I'm like, dude, you got to sell it. Like, if the Big Show has trouble lifting it, you should have trouble lifting it.
No consistency.
No consistency. So that's my knock on the match. You ruined my suspension of disbelief. How dare you?
I have to say, but where my suspension of disbelief wasn't ruined was the D-Generation X Dudley Boys tag team tables match. I forgot this was a table match. I forgot this happened. I love Dudley table matches. They're so fun.
I love Tori.
Tori played her role extremely well in this.
Yes.
Okay, line of the night.
Yeah, line of the night.
Is this where it comes from? What was it? Go on.
No. Oh, how dare you?
No, you brought it up.
Oh, no, because I tweeted to JR what his line of the night was last time. So, and he didn't. And I may be blocked for all I know at this point. So this week you get to share what the line of the night was.
I think it was when they're talking to each other, and it's like, what did you call her, JR? A damn dirty Jezebel? That was it?
Oh, that wasn't it.
Oh, was it? Oh, was it when he called her a B word?
Mm-mm.
Okay, go on.
No, it was after the match, and the Dudleys set up a table to put Tori through it.
She's going to get a lot of hard wood tonight? Was
that it? I started I'm like, JR. Like, I expect that from Lawler, right?
Yeah.
From JR. Yeah. And that's another thing. Oh my gosh, like the commentary. Jim Ross is still he's a legend. He's still amazing. I will still listen to him talk for hours. But man, I don't even want to say that he You guys know what I mean.
Yeah.
I don't even want to say it. You know what I mean.
He says stuff that I don't think he said. I think it was being fed to him.
Well, I just mean the how quickly and how fluidly and how fast he could.
Oh, yeah. No, like, here's the thing. The difference is, like...
20 years.
Even still, though, like, him calling a match now is still very enjoyable. Him calling a match 20 years ago was unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, there's nobody does it. And it's why when they'd bring out Michael Cole, you're like, oh, Christ, stop. You just can't do it. You haven't got it. So, it's just, I think, like, King and JR aren't my favourite team. That's JR and Paul Heyman.
I will say this, though. Corey Graves, well, I like actually Corey Graves, but, I mean, Tom Phillips makes me really appreciate Michael Cole. So...
That's fair. The best thing about AEW is the commentary team as well, with Shivani, Excalibur, and Ross as well. But look... Sorry, go on. Just to finish things off here, and we might have to go into some overtime. Actually, screw it, we're going into some overtime. Guys, if you're listening on Phoenix FM, we are going to go into some overtime, because we have to.
I thought we could get out of start talking about trips.
And again, if you are listening to Phoenix FM, go over to Nerd to Know Media. What are you doing? Go over to Nerd to Know Media where you get everything first. And you get to interact with the live chat. We're live every single Tuesday at 6 p.m. And of course the show goes out at 8 p.m. Thanks to the True Penny channel for hosting us as well. And we'll be back after this short break. And we're back. Shortest break in history, if you're watching the stream. Okay, let's get on to the main event.
That was our shortest break. Oh man!
Yeah.
Okay, so
no, what I will do is
unbelievable.
The reason why the breaks are so small is because I haven't gotten around to doing the ads yet. As soon as the ads get done, we'll do proper ads. But because we're streaming and restreaming, not just Twitch, there's no point. So we're just going to keep going.
What are we going to do?
Exactly. Okay, so
let's get to the main event.
Yeah, where to start in this match. So again, well, actually, hold on. Before we get into it, throughout the whole night, there was these promos of these like 3 little girls being spooky through the whole night.
Very Shining-esque.
The whole night. Very Shining-esque. And in hindsight, you're like, who else could it be? There's no one else it could be. But The Undertaker had been missing since late 1999 with injury. He missed WrestleMania, missed everything. So, it just was what it was. But again, Judgment Day is his pay-per-view. Well, actually, it's like Hell in a Cell. He has loads of pay-per-views. But Judgment Day was historically his pay-per-view.
Yes.
And, yeah. So, that's what we had going into it. We had these promos, these packages before we're going in. So, what do you make of the match yourself? It was an Iron Man match, Shawn Michaels, special guest referee, WWF Championship, Triple H, with Shane McMahon, Stephanie McMahon, and Mr. McMahon in this corner, which was weird, versus The Rock.
This was actually, honestly, it's my first time seeing it.
Really?
I've never seen this match before.
Wow.
And I'm going to say something I got to correct myself about last week. Actually, I have to correct myself about 2 things last week. I probably should have done this on air. AJ debuted. I made the exact same mistake last week. AJ debuted in 2016, not 2017. This is his 4th year with the company.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, we were talking about like it's been only 3, but I had gone back and was watching because we had talked about it. So I went back and I watched the AJ Cena promo when they first meet. And I realized that was May 21st of 2016. So, yeah.
You know what's weird? I was thinking about this earlier on today. I'm like, I can recall moments that happened 20 years ago way more clear than recalling stuff that happened 4 or 5 years ago. So that's how invested in the product I am now. And also how more necessarily isn't better, where you have 5 shows a week compared to just having, a couple of shows, 1 show a week. It's not.
Yeah,
it's not a good way to be. Sorry, we had a bit of a drop there for a moment. We're back. Yeah, it's just weird, man. Like I can remember this like it happened yesterday. I can remember clearly every moment, every spot. It's all there, and the match itself is really, really decent. It's a full hour. It's the first Iron Man match I actually like, because I never liked the Shawn Michaels match. I'm like, whatever.
Yeah, then I think that's where my apology another thing I was going to correct myself on is my second correction from last week is I scoffed at the notion of HBK versus Shawn Michaels not being the greatest Iron Man match of all time. And I went back and rewatched it and I realized that it's only the sharpshooter with Bret Hart's Crimson Mask that really makes that match. Yeah. Otherwise, it's
very boring.
I mean, it's very boring, and it's not that it didn't have moves that were great or it wasn't paced well. I mean, for crying out loud, The Rock throws. We always joke about people having 5 moves of doom, like Cena and all that, but I swear that The Rock only knows 3 moves. He knows like punch, rock bottom, and people's elbow. Maybe a spine buster if we're lucky,
and a bad sharpshooter.
Yeah, right, and a very bad sharpshooter.
Yeah.
We love you, but you're too big to ever even talk to us, so I'm not worried about insulting you.
Yeah, no. I'll say, The Rock as a person and as an actor, absolutely love.
As
a wrestler,
I love his promo work.
Oh, his promo work's pretty good. As a wrestler around this time period, oh my god, terrible. Like just.
But you know what? Hulk Hogan didn't have to be a good wrestler.
But here on the point of that, right? The Rock and Triple H carried the WWE for a full year and a half. Like,
yes, they did.
Themselves. That feud carried it. It literally won the war with WCW. And I'm sorry, if you disagree, you're wrong. That's what won. That's what won it, because it wasn't Austin. Austin was injured.
Yeah.
It was Triple H and The Rock.
Mankind won the title. Yeah. That flipped the ratings, and the ratings never changed again.
Never changed. It just went boom. And that's why The Rock got over as the biggest star, because he is the biggest star wrestling ever had.
Yeah. Well, and that's one of the things that I noticed just about the style of wrestling, because I was kind of making fun there about the 5 moves, whatever. But my point is actually that the way that punches were thrown, the way that moves were done, they just had.
It feels real.
I don't know, they just. Sometimes, but it's like they just had some flair to them, if you will.
Actually,
like some charisma to the way a punch was thrown.
Well, this was something that was brought up in that Fiend Fuso retrospective, which I will actually link in the description.
No, for sure. We really actually will link it.
Actually, we will. Seriously, I'm going to try reach out to Fiend Fuso because his stuff's fantastic. Literally love that guy. He's great. But one of the people who he had on was talking about the Triple H Undertaker match, and he's saying, I'll give anything to go back to that time period, and one of the main reasons is because of how the match actually feels. Like, when they're throwing a punch, you still know it's not real, but your brain doesn't know it's not real because you're so invested in it. It's like, this feels like something you can get invested in. It's the difference between a good movie and a bad movie. That is, it's not bad, it's just, it's shot kind of too clean. Like, have you ever seen The Raid?
The Raid? No, I haven't.
The Raid's a really good. It's fantastic. It's an Asian movie about a group of police trying to go up and basically they're going through a city tower block to take down a group of criminals, and the choreography is incredible. But you're like,
oh, so it's like Money in the Bank at Titan Towers?
Yeah, but with more violence and blood.
Right. I did appreciate the blood though in all throughout the night. I kind of miss blood in wrestling. But
what I'm saying is all the choreography in that is unbelievable, but it's so good it's unbelievable compared to something more brutal like I don't know, Rocky. Let's just go with Rocky, where all the punches.
Let's just go with Rocky.
Where the punches are real. They feel more kind of real, or even the Warrior. Everything in the Warrior feels real because it's all slow and more kind of, Muslim exactly. It's not real, but the performance is so absorbing you can suspend your disbelief. That's it exactly.
That's what's important.
That's what's important.
That's absolutely.
And it was a lot easier to do it at this time because the presentation of it was so good. We talked about this how many times where the video packages were put together so well, the editing was great. The use of popular music was really good. Or not popular music, but more kind of like metallic music. And it all kind of felt bigger than what it was. 2 guys in a ring. And I will agree, the use of blood really helps. Like, there's a bit where both of them are just absolutely cut open. Triple H just starts bleeding for some reason, which is kind of weird. The Rock makes sense because he gets busted open with a chair.
Well, Triple H was after the pedigree on top of the table.
Yeah, but he's bleeding. And you're like, Okay, that was kind of weird.
No, but The Rock did the pedigree.
I
to
know,
Triple H
but no one
on
gets
top.
cut open with a pedigree.
How dare you?
You know, I just
Wait! Well, I'm not defending Triple H. Don't. No, oh my gosh! What have you done to me? What have you done? All of a sudden, I'm thinking. I got to say, I gained so much respect for Triple H in this match because it just reminds me of how much punishment he was willing to put his body through.
Yeah. Remember,
he
this
did not
point,
take. Yeah.
This point in time was when Triple H again, like from like SummerSlam 1999, the transition of Triple H from just being D-Generation X Triple H to being main eventer is earned, and that's why I'm like, people go, oh, it's because he married in. I'm like, yeah, maybe, but he also literally carried the company and got his ass kicked around the world. What year did he and Stephanie actually get married? I think it was like 2002.
2002.
Yeah.
Because that's what I was trying to figure out when this pay-per-view was going on, because they have some very sleazy stuff in like backstage segments of them like draped on each other and whatnot.
But they had fun. They were just messing around, but you know.
Oh yeah, I mean Vince was there, so obviously he was cool with it.
It just is what it is, you know. But I think they actually got married in like 2002, and Big Show was his best man, which is very weird because they're actually best mates, which is really strange when you think about it. But
yeah, you would think that like Shawn Michaels.
Yeah. It's I don't know.
Well, but actually, given that time period in Michael's life, maybe
that's a fair point too. Actually,
that's a fair point.
Okay, what's it? That's true. I know I was a very young kid watching WWE at the time, but I was shocked when I found out it wasn't real. Yeah, kind of. It's like I don't know. It's a weird thing to kind of think back, where you know at that point.
Do you remember? Do you remember the moment
when I found out it wasn't real?
Yeah.
Yeah. My dad told me it wasn't real, and I was like, oh, okay, fair enough. You know, it's like, although you still don't believe it. That's the thing. But then you start to believe it when you get smart enough. And one of the big things. Do you remember that? Secrets of Pro Wrestling Revealed, that show?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. That was played like incessantly on Sky One over here. So. If you, it was played all the time. Like literally, I remember it being on Sky all the time. Like as much as The Simpsons would be on, it was on. So, you know, by 1998, 1999, there was no way you couldn't know it was real. It was fake. You know.
Well, thank you for asking. Let me share when I found out.
Yeah, well, I was just about to. You didn't give me a chance. I'm just
sure. Yeah.
I'm just reading the chat here. Most of them remembers that too. Yeah, exactly. You couldn't if you grew up in Ireland and the UK. It was just part of watching Sky. So, Dave, yes, when did you find out that it wasn't real?
I had I think he was a cousin or something at a family reunion come over, and I must have been about, I don't know, 7 or so, and he started raving to me about this new company called ECW. And he started telling me how they use like all these crazy weapons and all these chains, and for whatever reason, my gut instinct as however old I was, 6-year-old, 7-year-old was, oh, wrestling's fake. There's no way that could be real. And then I spent the rest of the family reunion telling him how fake wrestling was.
But see, it's weird, right? Like, I don't know, like, I never was kind of the person to go, oh, wrestling's fake, so it's dumb.
No, me either.
I never had that moment where I'm like, because... What's on? Oh man, it's always the older cousin that ruins a childhood illusion. Yeah,
he was older than me. I should point out.
To be fair, my older cousin didn't ruin it for me because it was like, you know, it was already kind of set, you know, ipso facto. It was already kind of there. But yeah,
I mean, I still believe it's real.
Well, like it all depends on how you. Another thing as well, Vince McMahon coming out and saying, you know, it's fake. Also,
yeah, there was that. Was that 95?
Yeah. So like, once you kind of got a bit smarter to it, you're like, hey, it's not real, right? The way I see it, drama, film, and performance art is all technically fake. That's the point of it, really. Yeah, like that's what I would always say about people who say wrestling's fake. I'm like, yeah, so is Game of Thrones.
Right.
You know, so like.
So that's your reaction? Because that was going to be my next question to you, is because we've both worked in this. I guess we'll call it. We worked in this industry for over a decade now. Oh my gosh, almost 15 years now.
Thanks, Dave. Thanks for that.
Yeah, you're welcome. So I'm same age as you, bro.
Yeah, I know.
So it comes with a territory that at some point somebody's going to come up to you and say, well, wrestling's not real. So what is your immediate response? And I'll tell you mine after. What's your immediate response when somebody comes up to you and says, wrestling's not real? Why do you spend your time doing that?
So are movies.
Okay.
It's like, that's it. Like, it's or another one. Yeah, I like my sport fake. Which is, it's one of those two. I like that one. It's one of those two, yeah.
All right. Whenever somebody comes up to me, if they see me back when they saw me recapping when I was in college watching the shows, but somebody comes up to me and says, wrestling's fake, right? My reaction to this day is always, wait, what? It is? I quit. I'm not going to do this anymore. I had no idea. Like, I just lay the sarcasm on as thick as heavily possible. Like, well, you don't think I know? Like, honestly.
But one thing I do like about that, Dave, I think, like, there's this weird kind of swing around. It's actually like kind of what happened with Pokemon. Remember when you were in school? I don't know if you were a Pokemon fan or not when you were a kid, but
oh my gosh, were you red or blue?
Oh, I was blue.
We're not friends anymore.
I did finish red though. I just got blue. That was the thing. That was the first thing I got.
Okay. Yeah. Who'd you start with? This is a totally different show on this network, by the way.
I started with Charmander.
Bulbasaur.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. See, Bulbasaur is like the mid one. The easy one apparently is Squirtle. And then the hard one is Charizard, but Charizard's a dragon and he's cool, right? So
I like the allure of Venusaur, and that's what I wanted. So fair. I wanted that solar beam power. Okay, fair. And now that we're out of Kanto.
No, most of them trying in there. Red version for me and started with Squirtle. Yeah, well, I think everybody has their own kind of preference.
Okay.
But what I will say is,
and if you played yellow, get off our stream.
But what I will say is, right, there was this weird thing that happened. I think when you go to high school and middle school, right, you're like, you want to kind of be cool or something like that. So like everyone just kind of like suppressed all that stuff. Like, and now it's different, obviously, but everyone kind of suppressed that nerdy stuff. But it still kind of stayed there. And then when you went to college, it just exploded. And I think that's kind of happening now with wrestling, where everyone about our age is like, oh yeah, actually I really like wrestling. Because the amount of people that you talk to now who are our age are like, oh yeah, I was watching this, that, and the other. I'm like, what? You were watching WrestleMania? Why? And it's just, but you'd see it on mainstream, like, even though wrestling was more mainstream in 2000, like, culturally it was more relevant, it's more mainstream now, which is weird. And I think it's because everyone who was watching it then still has an attachment to it now, and they're in positions where they're willing to kind of give it time. So, like, it's weird. Like, it used to nearly be a secret society when you'd run into people at wrestling. You're like, wait, you watch wrestling? Cool, compared to now where it's just like, everybody knows.
It's funny you say that about like middle school, because actually the whole reason I even got into writing about wrestling is pure chance. A kid I didn't know, alphabetically, we were just seated. I just can't get my past tense right today, Darragh. I'm so sorry. We were sat next to each other in middle school in a class, and he turned to me at one point and was like, "You like wrestling?" I was like, "Yeah." He was like, you can tell when people are starting to push the boundaries, trying to like feel you out. I live near Philly. This isn't relevant to you if you're in Ireland, but Philly, obviously the Eagles is the big football team there. And he's like, I'm a Cowboys fan. I'm like, dude, I'm a Cowboys fan. So we had like two things going, right? And the final nail in the coffin, there's a soap opera called General Hospital. And he's like, when I get home from school, my mom always has General Hospital on and I watch it. I was like, dude. And to this day, he is my best friend.
Similar thing with myself and Gary. I remember we were working in a cinema at the time, locally, and it was around the ladder match. One of the Money Bank ladder matches. It was the one that Punk won, I think, and the one in Orlando. And I was like, "Hey man, I have to get this shift early because I'm going back to watch something." And he goes, WrestleMania? I'm like, yeah. And that was it. And then that's kind of how it happened. And we just became friends ever since. So it was crazy. Like, but that's kind of what it was like. So now that it's more socially acceptable, like with Pokemon, everybody loves Pokemon, which is weird. It's
Pokemon Go really turned things around.
No, but I think it was always kind of there. It's this kind of
stuff. Well, we all played it.
Yeah. It was one that, I didn't because my phone was broken, but everyone else did.
No, not Pokemon Go. I'm talking about, like, we had our Game Boy Colors. We would hide under the covers at night because our parents wanted us to be in sleep.
Exactly,
and you had a little lamp that we'd attach as an accessory on top.
And the worst part of it was no backlit screen, so it's
that's what I'm saying. You'd use the little I had like a magnifying glass attachment that had a light built into it so I could play.
Oh man, trying to play an original Game Boy Color like wasn't, with all the cancerous tumors that you'd attach to it so it would work. Unbelievable.
Oh my goodness.
Unbelievable. But yeah, and I think that's kind of what happened. So we had the same experience with wrestling that other things kind of fell into. So I there's less of that, wrestling is fake, it's bad. Except for the MMA people, but I think they're kind of like overcompensating, going, look what I watch is real. And those people you can't really help, because they're the same people that get upset over like albums that are released by their favourite band or something. And it's slightly like they went away from a different style, or same people that don't like Load by Metallica because it's not Black Album, who are the same people that don't like the Black Album because it's not. And Justice for All, the same people. You can't please everybody, so you might as well just not try. Just go do it. You do you.
To those kind of people, I would simply say this: I watched UFC Fight Island last night, and you know what your main event was? It was 25 minutes of a clinch against a cage with one guy stomping on another guy's feet trying to get a takedown for 25 minutes. Well, 3 title matches went to decision. Yeah, no, it was super entertaining. Look, I love MMA. I watch it. It's not something we cover on this channel, but I mean, come on, man. It's not always great. Sometimes fake is awesome, and The Rock being there was cool. Brock Lesnar, you got to see into our world a little bit, and it did bring fans over. You saw Ronda Rousey come over. It brought Dana White and Vince became friends. UFC has become in many ways WWE. They do tons of promos nowadays. They do lots of stage lighting. They do lots of effects. They put more into the entrance music and stuff like that. They understand that the atmosphere is just as important as what happens inside the octagon. Well, okay, not as important because it's not, but you know what I'm saying. Like, they add a lot more little spectral flares to it than they did in the past.
What I will say is, look, there's a video on this channel comparing gladiatorial combat and wrestling. That sums it all up. We did it like 8 years ago. It sums it all up. Real eventually becomes fake because fake is manipulative, and you can actually make way more money with a fake sport than you can with a real combat, because you don't get injured, you don't kill people, and you can do it every night. And that's why wrestling became fake, because in the 20s, or even a little bit earlier, 20s is when it's documented, but maybe 1890, I think. They're like, hey, we can't do this every night because we'll be dead. Why don't we just pretend like we're doing it and we can make way more money? And that's what happened. It was more like lads sitting around and going, look, we can make way more money with this and do it every night, rather than trying to kill each other and being able to do it once or twice a year. It's just sense. And you think, and anyone who gets upset by that, I'm like, well, you're watching the wrong show, mate. And if you can't balance those two things together and realize that, one, it's not a sport, it's more like a soap opera with punching.
Exactly.
Then you're fine, and it has a lot of the same crossover. But look,
that's how I describe it. It's my soap opera.
Yeah, and it is a soap opera.
And you made a comment. Sorry, you made a comment about a fake sport, and I got it. How can I not acknowledge this? They made a reference to XFL during commentary. It was very brief.
Really?
So I was like, oh, yeah, that's right. That's when this was happening.
Yeah, that's great.
He made a comment. I can't remember what the line was, but something like, oh, that would be a 5-yard penalty in the XFL. I just chuckled to myself.
To be fair, it was killed off this time by a biblical plague. So it's like, you can't really blame it, right? It's Vince tried, he did actually try this time, but look,
it was successful. It was making money.
Successful. It's just
this is not his fault that it failed this time.
It's not his fault. It's the biblical plague.
Wait, you can't even joke about that because
I know the Black Death is coming back. I know.
It actually is.
It actually is coming back.
We have cases in the U.S. Yeah.
Wait, of the Black Death?
Yeah, they just found a squirrel carrying it
in
Texas. Yeah.
Everybody repent. Oh my god,
that's not fake news, I swear.
It gets worse. It gets worse. Oh, that's scary.
I thought the bear I saw with nunchucks on my Facebook feed this morning was scary, but no, this is worse.
Yeah, as in the bubonic plague monster. Yeah, it was in Mongolia, and now apparently it's in America. That's really scary. Wow, 2020, everybody. 2020.
It's the best year of my life. It's also what is happening.
It's unbelievable. I swear, like, you know, we're gonna have to have a show here where everyone's just repenting if it keeps getting worse. Call him.
I'm sorry. Let me correct myself. I said Texas, and I'm so sorry. You're right. Mongolia. How could I be so wrong? It wasn't Texas. It was Colorado.
Okay, that's kind of worse again because it's in the middle of America. Awesome. Wow. Okay, wrapping up here this 60-minute Iron Man match.
We're having a 60-minute Iron Man chat that has yet to relate to this match.
To bring it back. Yeah. So look, I thought the match itself, as you know, it was a very hard-hitting feud. These guys have worked together for a year almost solid at this point, so they had it all kind of down. I thought the outside stuff took away from it, but they also didn't want anyone to seem stronger than the other. Triple H still comes off incredibly tough and incredibly strong, but gets over his character of this heel that will do anything to win. He doesn't come off as being a coward. He comes over as someone who's like, I'm going to win no matter what I have to do, and that's what he's put over. And The Rock, the deck is stacked against him, but he still manages to level it out. I think the last 2 minutes are incredible. Like this match really is a case of 2 minutes, where he is two folds behind, and if it's a tie, it goes Triple H champion advantage, and he manages to actually get it. He gets the pinfall. Like Triple H, The Rock gets counted out. The Rock wins by pinfall after people's elbow, and they're tied. So The Rock gets the count out and gets the pinfall. So they're all tied up, and there's a smudge in the ring where all of them come in. Stephanie McMahon, all of D-Generation X come out, and then there's a bell that rings. And this promo, and to be fair, they should have really hit the lights, but I think the lights being on kind of adds to it now, watching it more and more, because you're like, what is going on? This seems crazy. And the promo plays.
Yeah, because you would have known, right?
Oh no,
you actually you didn't know quite. Even when that motorcycle starts riding out, you're not quite sure.
No, because you don't know. Like you don't know. Like the way it's put together nowadays, what they would have done is they would have cut to the screen probably and played the full promo, and then it happened. But because it's all happening at once, it feels more kind of organic. Yeah, it feels more realistic. And then Motorcycle comes out. American Badass plays. Well, everyone thinks it's Sad But True by Metallica because it's that riff over and over again. But they come out, and it's The Undertaker. And it's The Undertaker looking completely different. Like, remember when he left, he was a satanic cult leader.
Yep.
And he's come back now as a biker with the ginger hair, kind of like mine, the beard, ginger, and wearing the trench coat and the denim, and just kicking ass.
I love it.
It's great, and like, you know, choke slamming everybody, but ends up costing The Rock the fall because he choke slams Triple H just as the bells, just literally the way they did it is great. Literally as the 1 hour goes, he choke slams Triple H, and Shawn Michaels sees it and rings the bell. Disqualifies him immediately, and that's what happens. Now, super good, really, really well executed. Just, you know, the way they did it, it was fantastic. But here's another thing on it, right?
You okay over there?
Yeah, I'm back here. Yeah, I think I dropped a little bit.
Okay.
But
okay.
Here's the interesting thing about this whole feud, right? Or The Undertaker coming back. This is how The Undertaker was supposed to go to WCW. At the 11th,
that's true. That's what we were talking about last week, as returning as Mean Gene Calloway. Yep.
At the 11th,
Mean Mark Calloway.
At the 11th hour, they said, right, you can change, because he didn't want to do the Lord of Darkness thing anymore. So that's why we got this. You know, it seems like this is who The Undertaker wanted to be at this point. So yeah, that's kind of the story behind it and what we got. So what were your thoughts overall of this pay-per-view and this whole last segment?
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. Like I said, you know, I don't need to reiterate, just the organic, the grassroots, the crowd, everything just seems so much more intense during that time period. Specifically about this match, I know it's become a trope now in Iron Man matches, but using a weapon to get yourself disqualified to lose a point, but then immediately scoring 2 points for yourself. This is obviously the first time that it was done in the WWE.
Yeah.
And so I watched it through the lens of it being done for the first time, and that's actually my favorite moment of this entire match.
Yeah. It's really clever.
How about that? Yeah, very clever.
What I'd say is like it's like the Hell in a Cell match, right? The Iron Man match, it's made famous by the first one or the first big one, but it's perfected later on. And this, I think, is the perfect Iron Man match for me. Like there were some better ones. The Ultimate Submission match is quite good too, but for me, this is the one I'd point to and go, this is the Iron Man match to watch, because it does everything that you want, plus a lot more, and then it has like a massive major return of the Undertaker. And it's weird. This return of the Undertaker, he's portrayed not as what he was, but more the conscience of the WWE. Like Jim Ross is like, oh, it's the Undertaker. He's back to get McMahon. Why? What's going on? It's because of the evil of McMahon, what he does. So he's kind of like this. He truly is like the Grand Judge, the Grim Reaper, the WWE. You know, it's kind of like he's the conscience of it. You know. Yeah,
he's coming back instead of being, you know, the dead man who's like taking souls. He's almost coming back as the purifier.
Yeah, exactly, and that is what he kind of stayed until. Well, actually, no. Even when he came back as the dead man, he still would be that kind of character for the WWE, where the worst characters would have to go against them or something like that. You know, like with Edge, for example, that was the whole base of that feud, where Edge was such a you know what, that Undertaker would sort him out, and that's kind of what he would say. Funny thing about it is the actual the poster of this is Kane. Does not appear on the card.
Yeah, it absolutely blew my mind.
Which is unbelievable.
Now, do you think there was a red herring to make people think that the promo was about him that they've been showing?
No, but I think this was a case that they had this done so far in advance. They just didn't want to change it.
That's right. You know what? That's true. We live in this world now where you can pop together stuff in
a day,
30 minutes. Yeah.
Like again, like
everything printed and sent out.
2000, you're still printing stuff.
Yeah. Like magazines were a thing.
Actually,
newspaper ads were a thing. Billboards.
I remember this show. WWF magazine used to come out. And I used to get WWF magazine.
By Vince Russo.
Yeah. Well, not at this point because he was gone.
Well, edited, but yeah.
But I remember they used to cover the pay-per-views, and it'd be the only place that would have like the really good quality pictures of the pay-per-view, because all the indie magazines you get would always have terrible, like really, really poor lit pictures.
One day I'll tell you some good stories about PWI or about PW Insider and why Pro Wrestling Illustrated. That's what they're called, not the website.
Right.
I have some good stories to tell one day.
Fair.
Yep.
Yeah.
And why you should never go by any of their rankings.
That's fair too.
For anything ever.
But what I will say is, it's like, yeah, I remember this being covered in that, and it's, you know, it's just funny when you think about it, like how different the world is through that lens. So
be honest though. Did you ever call the hotline?
No, it couldn't. It's in Ireland. That would have cost.
You
would have got your legs broke. Like, you know, not only would have been expensive, but it also would have been, you know, add on international charges. No way, man. That's never that brave. Never that brave. Once I'm trying to in there, I think I had a couple of WWF magazines too. Yeah, it was very popular over here, I must say. Raw was less so. Raw was always one I'd pick up if I couldn't find WWE magazine.
Yeah.
Never was really a fan of that. But yeah, that's going to do it for this edition of the show. We went 90 minutes, so, you know, thanks for joining us on the stream. Once more, thank you very much. Mom, I had to call Vince McMahon. Fair. I think my mom would have broke my legs though if I had to try to use that. You know, just the fear alone of that just went terrifying. But yeah, look, Judgment Day. If you haven't seen it, go on the network. You'll have a great time. It's
so much fun.
You know, from top to bottom, it's a fun show. There's no weak matches. The weakest match is a tables match. So that says a lot. And it's just a good time. You know, if you haven't seen it in a couple of years, go back and watch it. We have a couple of things coming up next week and the week after. A couple of guests coming on. We'll let you know what they are in the comments below. Dave and myself will moderate those. Or if you want to reach out, go over to our Facebook page or Twitter. nerdtoknowmedia@gmail.com is how you can reach us as well for anything you want to add to the show or just in general. And yeah, don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that bell, and all that good stuff. It really helps us. Dave, is there anything you want to plug before we get out of here?
Yeah, follow me on Instagram at @TheDaveStevens. TheDavestepens. No, really, I juggle. Follow me. I want followers. Do it.
Do follow him. And again, if there's anything you want to plug, if there's anything you want to for us to review, look, if it's on the network, we'll definitely watch it.
Yeah, we'll definitely do it.
If it's not on the network, we'll try. But yeah, let us know, because there's so much there, and it's so much more fun than the current product, which is confusing and scary, and in a time where the bubonic plague might be coming back, kind of want to live 20 years ago. So that's why we're going back, because it's super fun. Remember, guys, this is the Wrestling Rewind, the only wrestling show brought to you by fans who do not hate wrestling. We'll be back next week here on Here to Know Media, the True Penny channel, and of course, Phoenix 92.5. Bye, guys.
Thank you for listening to a Nerd to Know Media production.